Hi there guys, Tom Quayle here. Welcome back to the Solo YouTube channel. Hope everybody's doing really well as ever. Now, for this particular video, I'm going to be doing a lesson on a particular facet of learning the guitar that is very important as you develop your playing skills and particularly your visualization. Now, everybody, no matter who they are on the guitar, whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, or an advanced player, now particularly in that kind of intermediate and advanced area, you will have particular areas of the neck that you are much more familiar with than other areas of the neck. So what we might call your kind of visualization weak spots. So that could be a particular area of the neck, a particular part of the fretboard, if you like, or it might be a bias towards a particular key. It might be a bias towards a particular chord type, let's say, or a particular set of intervals. What I want to do today is I want to set up a scenario that I've been practicing for a very specific reason, with a particular weakness of mine on the fretboard, that I'm going to show you how you can utilize Solo, so I've got it set up just here, to practice with, and how Solo is going to allow you to organize your practice time and work really efficiently to kind of wipe out those weak spots on the fretboard that we all have. Now for me in particular, I have a weird kind of weakness, a very common weakness actually that guitar players tend to have, where my knowledge of the first 12 frets in terms of the note names, the specifics of the note names, so the root notes that I might be thinking of for all of my visualization process, is slightly weaker, stronger I should say, not weaker, for the first 12 frets than it is for the upper 12 frets. So in my case on this guitar, that would be frets 12 through to 22. Now, that is very common. Part of the reason this occurs is because the visualization arrangement of the guitar is slightly visually different as we get to the upper 12 frets. Of course, we still have the same dots on the relevant, notes, but the visualization reference point is no longer the nut, it's actually the 12th fret, so a fretted note, if you like. And also on this guitar, I don't have 24 frets, so the octave doesn't complete. So there's a little visual offset that I find a little bit tricky. Now, this is the thing I'm going to work on. For you, it might be, let's say, you're not so familiar with the top 3 strings between frets 7 and 12, but you might be really familiar with the bottom 3 strings, frets 7 through 12. And in this instance, I'm going to specifically work on root notes, so the named note within a chord or a scale, so forth, so on and so forth, in that upper 12 fret area. But this could be applied, this concept, to anything. It could be a particular area of the neck that you're not familiar with. You might want to work on a particular set of chords for which we have all the different exercises in Solo. It might be a particular scale that you're not familiar with in a particular area of the neck. The beauty of Solo is you can really tailor your practice sessions to do what you need them to do. So any weakness that you've got, Solo is designed to be able to help you fix that, and will organize your practice in such a way that you've got the kind of cognitive load reduced of having to actually figure out, okay, what am I actually going to practice here? Solo's going to provide you with that information. So let's zoom in on the neck. I'm going to zoom in around the sort of upper 12 frets here, and I want to show you how I use Solo on a regular basis to practice kind of honing this area of the neck and wiping out this gray area, if you like, or kind of weakness in my visualization system. And that's going to make me a better player, because when I'm improvising, if there's any hesitation as to where the root notes or where any of these intervallic functions are, I'm going to have problems and I'm not going to be able to play the things I want to play. So let's zoom in now and check this out. Okay, so as I say, for this particular example today, I'm going to be working on these upper 12 frets because this is an area for me which I know is weaker than the lower 12 frets. And again, I think this is a common problem for guitar players generally. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to set Solo up in such a way that it's only going to ask me to play root notes. So only the named notes of the chord. So in this case, I'm not working on the intervallic functions of sort of thirds, fifths, sevenths, ninths, 11ths, flat twos, whatever. I'm only working on the root notes. So all Solo is going to show me is the chord name and a 1 underneath, and it wants me to find that named note. And in this way, I can work on the specifics of where these notes are on the fretboard. In particular in this upper 12th fret area where things can get a little bit more kind of loose for guitar players. So how do I set this up within Solo? I've actually got it set up already, but what I'm going to do is just show you from scratch. So if we come into Solo, what we've got is obviously a level and a set of chord changes in the changes playing trainer. Now, you don't want to be doing this in the scale trainer at first, because the scale trainer is always going to ask you to play all 7 or more or in the case of a pentatonic scale, 5 notes within that scale. We're only interested at this point in finding the root note because that's the named note, and that's our foundation for finding every other intervallic function later down the line. So I need to be super confident as to where my note names are in this upper 12th fret area before I can find those other intervallic functions. So within level, all I'm going to do is come in and I'm just going to select the root note. Simple as that. I don't want to do anything else at this stage. Now we may move on to doing other stuff later within this exercise, but for now just the root note. And then what I'm going to do is I am literally going to randomize this chord progression. One of the beautiful things about solo is that it will randomize just by hitting this button here. I'm just going to randomize until, okay, let's use Spain here. Seeing as I play Spain a lot, it doesn't matter if I know the song or not. The point here is that what's going to happen is the chord changes section here is going to select a series of chord changes with different root notes. And solo is then going to ask you to play the root notes for those particular chords, and your choice is where you play them. So this is where, and I did a video on my own YouTube channel about this to do with kind of the basics of learning where note names were on the fretboard. In this instance, it's more specific. I'm working on a particular weakness of mine that I know is prevalent in my ability to visualize the fretboard. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to limit myself very specifically to the first string, the E string, or it's actually an F string in my case, but don't worry about that. You're limiting yourself to the highest string, and I'm going to limit myself between the 12th and in my case 22nd fret, okay? And it's just that string, so I have to locate all of these root notes on that string. Now, I haven't got a full octave here, so you know, I may find that there are some notes that I might have to bend up to. If I bend this 22nd fret up a whole step, I will get a whole octave, if you like. Okay, so I'll come back to what is equivalent of an F on my guitar. And I'm going to work through that single string like this. And again, it doesn't matter if I know the chord sequence, that's irrelevant. All that's going to happen is solo is going to ask me to find these notes on the fretboard. So we've got solo set up. The only other thing I would do is possibly I would hit the repeat button here, because otherwise, because you're only playing the root note, let's say there's only 12 chords in the progression, you're going to play 12 root notes and then that's it, it's going to be done. You may find you want to work round and round and round the same progression. Now, for the sake of argument, I'm actually going to leave that off for a very specific reason. I want to show you why. The good thing about working with the repeat button on is you will be drilling the same set of root notes over and over and over again. And repetition in this instance is good. It might seem at this stage that having completely random root notes constantly being randomized is a good thing. Actually, I would argue that doing it in the context of a song like this is a good thing, where you're playing the same root notes over and over again in a slightly more realistic setting. Because solo doesn't have the option of randomizing root notes like this. It will only work with the chord changes. It's something we'll probably build in later on to the app, but at the moment you need to use the chord changes. So I'm just going to hit Start Changes workout here. You can see here it's come up with the first chord, G major 7 sharp 11. Now don't worry if you don't know what that chord is. It's not a problem at all. You don't need to. All you need to know is that it's a G and you're going to find the 1. I'm going to take my highest string, in your case the high E string, unless you're tuned like me in fourths, it's an F for me. So I'm going to be playing my notes in slightly different place to you, but that doesn't matter. The concept is the same. Roll my volume up. I'm fully calibrated. I'm using an audio interface, which is why I can speak and use solo at the same time. And I'm going to locate G on my high F string, or in your case, high E string. So for me, that's this 14th fret here. For you guys, it would be the 15th fret. And I'm just going to play it. Solo's going to recognize it. And it moves on to the next one. I'm just going to continue in this fashion. So the next chord is F sharp 7 flat 9. If you don't, I know how to play that chord. If you don't, it doesn't make any difference. You're not playing the chord. You're not playing any of the other intervals or intervallic functions in the chord. You're just playing F sharp. Here's F sharp. Now it's asking for an E. Now the interesting thing about E is for you guys, E is at the 12th fret, so that's fine. For me, it's here because of my weird tuning. So I'm going to have to locate it. I know this is E flat, so I'm going to have to bend up a half step. There we go, that was an E. And I'm going to continue in this fashion, so now it's asking for A. A is here. Now, you take as long as you need to find these notes. I know that D is here, G, C sharp. Okay, where's C sharp? Well, I know that C is here, so C sharp is there. F sharp. Okay, B. B again. And then the workout is complete. Now, at this point, If you'd hit the repeat button, it would repeat round and round and round for you. Now, there aren't a lot of chords in the tune Spain, so what you might want to do, if you want to keep this slightly more, not randomized, but slightly more kind of unique each time you do it, what you can do is click Setup here, keep the same chord progression, and then change the key. So let's go for F sharp minor, I think I selected there. And then hit Start Changes Workout. Now we'll get a different set of root notes around the same progression. So now we've got D. Okay, I'm going to play D, C sharp, B, and then E, A. You can do vibrato and stuff if you want. So A, D, G sharp, oops. Now, what I wouldn't do is I rushed a little bit there. And because I've got just a little bit more weakness in terms of my ability to find these notes on the upper 12 frets, I rushed and got it wrong. You'll notice that solo doesn't care. It doesn't move on. If you get it wrong, it's going to wait for you to get it right. So take your time, guys. There is a kind of positive mental reinforcement of getting it right every single time. Now, if you think you've got it and you've taken your time and you still get it wrong, obviously take the time to figure out why. But don't rush this. There's no time-based pressure. There's no metronome clicking in the background. This will allow you to take as long as you like. So, C sharp, okay, here. F sharp again, and then it's complete. Now, at this point, again, if I go back to setup, if I haven't got repeat on, it's not going to go round and round the progression. At this point, I can just hit the randomize button on chord changes. We've got another tune, and let's start a changes workout. Okay, so C, let's go for C here. So C is here. D, G, C again, F, A flat, so A flat is here, and then F, so, and then D, and then G, so on and so forth. So you can go round and round in this way. Now, the next step, of course, is to do this on the next string down. And this will present challenges of its own. And this again is working on the principle that this is the weakness that you want to work on. It could be anything. It might be, between the 9th and the 12th frets that you need to work on, just on the highest 3 strings. Whatever you need to do, you can work on these things individually. So now we're on to in my case, the C string, in your case, the B string. So C, D, and then we've got G, C, F, A flat, so on and so forth. So basically we're going to work through in this way. Then I would do the G string, and then the D string, the A string, and the E string. And I would stick with that principle, throughout my practice session. And at any point I wanted to change up what I'm doing, just go in, select a different set of chord changes. We can change the key to keep things interesting, hit start, pick a string to work on, and then we can just go. So in this case, E, and then G, C, D sharp, so on and so forth. Just work through the whole progression in that way. Now, of course, at any point you want to, if you are starting to find that you're nailing those root notes and you can find them very fluently and quickly, then of course you can come in and you can start to change the level. You can say to yourself, right, I'm just going to do the third. And this is where things get quite interesting, because you still have to locate the root notes in order to find the third. If you're doing kind of this visualization system that we're utilizing within solo, where you're kind of thinking about everything from the root note. But in this instance, you're not going to play the root note, you're just going to play the third. So this adds another layer of challenge on top of what you're already doing. So here, I might come in and we've got E, and let's say I'm going to work on the top, the highest E string, if you like, or the F string in my case. So I can locate E. Now there's no point locating E by bending up here because I can't get to the third, but I might locate E here, then I'm going to play the third. Okay, then I'm going to locate G and play the third, all on the same string. Then I'm going to locate the C, which is here. Now I can't actually get to the third here, so I'm going to have to bend up, so on and so forth. So you could go through this process just by using a single string and locating thirds in that way, or fifths or whatever. Now you are going to find that you'll get certain intervallic combinations or intervallic function combinations that you can't play on a single string because you run out of fretboard, or you're having to visualize too far away from where you are. And this is of course where you would combine strings as well, but you still have to do the root note visualization to find where these intervallic functions will be on the guitar. So in this way, solo offers you a very powerful way of developing areas of the fretboard that you might be very unfamiliar with. So rather than just thinking about, right, I'm going to get really good at visualizing the guitar as a whole, by doing this, where you break the guitar down into the specific areas that you know you have weaknesses on, rather than prior to having something like solo, where you might find yourself in the position where it's like, oh, I know I need to do that, but it's a bit of a hassle. I don't really want to do it. Now solo kind of makes it fun. It makes it intuitive. It makes it easy to practice, and you can see the rewards of how you're actually progressing with this. The next time you sit down at the guitar after you've done this and you find yourself soloing in this region of the neck, and you want to traverse up to the higher note regions of the neck, if you like, in order to create some more flow or tension to your solo, you will find that you will be able to see the fretboard in a much more controlled manner, and therefore play things that will be more akin to what you're hearing, or the feeling or the mood that you're going for, as opposed to having to compromise and stay in the area of the neck that you feel most comfortable with. That is always something that a lot of guitar players experience, and solo can really help you to fix those issues. So very, very simple concept, very easy to practice, lots and lots of flexibility. As I say, just to recap, select the root level and then come in. You can either select a chord sequence, but what I like to do is back out of here, hit the random button, maybe hit it a couple of times until you see something you've never seen before, all the things you are in this case. If you want to do a longer workout, make sure that repeat is on and it will go round and round and round said chord progression. If you want more variety, then what you can do is not have repeats on, start the changes workout. When it's finished, change the key, or hit the random button again until you find something else of interest. And that's it. It's really, really simple. Very, very cool, really, really easy to practice, but it's going to really reap some very, very kind of useful rewards for you as a player. So you find the weaknesses that you've got, the area of the neck that you're not so familiar with, and you can work with just root notes, or of course you can work with any of the intervallic functions, or if it's scales that you're not so familiar with. You could do the same exercise now, but do the whole thing in this area of the fretboard, between the 12th and however many frets you've got, 21, 22, 23, 24, probably haven't got a 23 fret guitar, and work out in that way, just really nailing this area of the fretboard that a lot of guitar players are not so familiar with. So I hope that was useful, guys. I hope you're enjoying the app if you have already got it. Of course, if you are enjoying it, feel free to leave us a rating and review on the App Store. And comment below any lessons you would like to see down below, any content that you would like to have on there, anything you would like explained. And of course, you can get in touch with us if you go to the settings part of the app just here. You will see send feedback just there, and you can contact us directly for solo feedback and for solo help, either technical support or anything else you want to know about the app. All right, guys, hit the like and subscribe button below, because Beebee and I will be uploading content every single week. And of course, hit the bell notification icon to make sure that you're notified every time we upload any new content for solo. All right, guys, my name is Tom Quayle, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.